Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this January 7th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. And all of our content is available at eoa.network. That takes you to a link tree where you can see, gives you the location of our Facebook and our YouTube and our website and our Roku channel and all of that information. There also is a link where if you want to send some money our way and donate to the cause to what it is that we do, we'd love to have your support, either on a one-time or a monthly basis. It kind of keeps the wheels turning. So, hey, how are you, man?
Good morning.
Good. And I forgot to mention, so here in just a bit, Nick Vora for Union County Emergency Services has brought guests, Barb and Pat from the local American Red Cross. We're going to hear from them. So,
Morning.
Yeah.
Second Monday.
Yeah.
Second Monday. It feels like first Monday, though. Every day feels like Monday.
Does it?
I kind of think so. I feel like that. Doing something different today. I'm live on Instagram right now, too, doing a little back,
On your Dodsy?
No, on ours.
Oh,
On
cool.
Live, yeah.
Yeah. So they're probably wondering what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. Let them wonder.
Yeah.
The more engagement, the better.
No, and you and I've talked about that for a while, but we've just never really done it. Yeah, because there are newscasts. You'll see newscasts will do that. So their talent will turn on.
A lot of them do it, actually.
Yeah.
It's very common.
Yeah. And in fact, it's kind of funny because there was one newscast I tuned into over in the Tri-Cities areas, and their entire set was green screen. And so, I mean, when you'd watch them on TV, there was the entire set, but on their, on their stream on Instagram or wherever it was, it'd just be all green. It was just a weird look.
The only difference between the newscast and us is they have time to talk to the people. I won't, because we don't ever cut off. You know what I mean?
Right. Do a commercial or something like that.
Yeah. Maybe during the commercial I could sit, but like they actually like the lady that I watch, Olivia DeVenti, she's in a different area. So when they cut to somebody else, she can sit there and interact with the people on Instagram.
Yeah. No, I've been on those sets before, and they're big rooms. It's very similar to this. I mean, this is a microcosm of what you'd see in a set, but still, they're like 4 or 5 times the size of this set. So.
Yeah, so I mean, you can check it out later or whatever. But the bet's over.
Oh yeah, I saw. It's like I
first
came
haircut in over a year.
Has it been a year?
Yeah, it was over a year. It was like almost 13 months.
Wow.
It was killed.
So did you win?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I won the bet. Yes, but it was it was painful. Oh, I don't like hair touching my ears. I don't like hair in the shower. I don't like hair following me around. I don't like hair sticking out of my hat. It's so nice.
Well, I'm glad to see you back.
Yeah, it's nice. It felt good, man. It was like, I mean, I had to sit there and listen to Betty blabber for 40 minutes while she was cutting my hair, but at least I got a haircut.
At least you got a haircut.
Yeah, it felt good. It felt really good.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you want to do sports?
Let's do it.
All right.
AM Sports Report brought to you by Buffalo Peak Golf Course. Dana and his team, they're doing a great job out there. We'll throw up a graphic that shows you the winter schedule here. You can get a hold of it. Tells you how to get a hold of Dana right now during the winter. Looks like they're open Thursday through Sunday from 10 to 3 right now, and then closed Monday through Wednesday. But Dana's number's up there and his email address, and you can go to Facebook and send a message if you need to, or you can call the Union County office. And basically, it's just the slow time of year for golf, so they kind of cut the hours back to save on money. LHS girls basketball had a huge 63-21 win over Mac High last night up at the high school here in La Grande. They moved to 7-1 on the season. They head to Lewiston on Thursday to take on Lewiston High School at 6 p.m. The boys basketball team also beat Mac High. They were on the road last night, 62-43. The boys are back in action tonight at the high school with a tip-off at 5:30 against Riverside High School right here at the gym. My pages got mixed up. Uh-oh, that's not good. LHS Wrestling is at home this weekend for a duel versus Pendleton. That's a big one. They're both ranked in the state. That duel is gonna probably decide who wins the GOL. I mean, they don't really have. It's not called the GOL in wrestling. It's a little more. It's like Special District 2 or 3. I don't even pay attention to those because every sport has a different special district. JV matches start at 6 o'clock on Friday at the high school, and then varsity right after. The boys were in Idaho, and those pictures that you just saw at the Raleigh Lane Invitational this weekend, they finished 24th out of like almost 100 teams, which is not bad considering, I mean, these are the best wrestling teams from all of Idaho, some of Oregon, some of Washington. They had 3 placers. Bragan Anderson placed 8th. Tommy Belding placed 3rd at 157. Bragan was at 120 pounds. And then Kenai Huff placed 7th at heavyweight. Those photos that you saw were thanks to Arlie Anderson. She always does a great job of getting me pictures on the out-of-town stuff for wrestling, and I appreciate that. LHS Girls Wrestling was at the Raleigh Lane Invitational over the weekend as well. They placed 14th out of about 75, 80 teams, which this girls wrestling team, I would be absolutely surprised if they don't win the state championship again. I mean, there's no reason why they won't. I'm looking, we're probably going to have 3, maybe 4 state champs, and they're going to roll through the state championships. No question in my, at all. Like, yeah, this team is good. They had 3 placers. Lindy Isaacson, 6th at 120. Paige Allen, 7th at 138. And Maddie Armstrong, 4th at 185. The LHS cheer team had their first competition ever. They finished in first place automatically. They were the only team in their division, but hey, first place is first place, you know. They competed for, this is their first time. I don't know if the cheer team competed before when we used to have cheerleading at the high school. I didn't really, you know, I didn't pay attention to it when I was in high school. And then cheerleading left, and then it came back a couple years ago. And they're going to do competitions, and they have one more competition and then the state championships. So they're looking to try to place, on a state level. That photo credit was Mary Nelson. She sent that to me. I think she has a daughter on the cheerleading team. EOU Women's Wrestling placed 10 ladies at the Matt Cat Open in McMinnville at Linfield over the weekend. They had 2 individual winners. Congrats to Irma Rotano, the champ at 117, and Brooke Sasirski, the champ at 131. EOU men's and women's basketball had a huge weekend up at Quinn. Both teams were dominant as they both swept Bushnell and Corbin. The men beat Bushnell on Friday night 85 to 62. Benny, let's roll those pictures. And turned around and beat a tough Corbin team on Saturday 72 to 65, while the women beat Bushnell 71 to 61 on Friday and Corbin 64 to 48 on Saturday. The Women's Player of the Week awards in the CCC were swept by the Mounties. Bree Holacek was named Offensive Player of the Week for the CCC, and Kelsey Signer was named Defensive Player of the Week. This is both of them have been Player of the Week in the CCC numerous times, so it's nothing new for either one of them. I thought the men were, I thought they were the Team of the Week in the CCC. Corbin went to C of I on Friday night and beat College of Idaho at home in conference, and that was College of Idaho's, okay, you got to look at this. College of Idaho is the number 2 team in the country, okay? They hadn't lost on their home court in the CCC since 2019. Corbin went there on Friday night and beat them. They came here Saturday, and EOU beat Corbin. And so 2 wins. I don't know what the CCC sees different than I do, but obviously it's something, because I thought EOU was definitely the Team of the Week this week, the men's basketball team. Both teams head up north this weekend to take on Evergreen State and Northwest. And Sports Report brought to you by Buffalo Peak Golf Course. Meet me at the Peak.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look outside. And it still is that funky weather thing going on, where it's mostly wet. And if you go to our weather cam, then it kind of alternates between the downtown shot, which you will see here in just a minute, and then these are the local passes. This is from ODOT and their cameras, and so, but it's kind of dry this morning, and just kind of, winter hasn't really showed up. We did get some snow in the higher elevations finally, but not much locally here. So
We had a little skiff of snow the other day.
yeah, a little bit. It stayed. Yeah,
It's coming.
Yeah, but you can see snow on the mountains there. All right, let's take a look at that weather graphic, Bennett. So 35 today is the high, 26 tonight, and then tomorrow 41 high, Thursday 40, Friday right around. It's going to be right around 40 degrees. It looks like it's well, you can kind of see there. Partly sunny. It looks like the rain comes in over the weekend. So we had a brief amount of sunshine yesterday, which, man, I loved. It just changes my entire mood when when the sun comes out.
Yeah,
So
it's nice.
yeah, makes a big difference. So, all righty. Well, hey, I'm glad that you guys are here with us today. And here in just a little bit, we are going to have Nick Vora, and he brought some friends from American Red Cross. We'll be right back.
If you were to ask me or them, like what Red Cross does.
All right, we're back. Nick Vora, Union County Emergency Manager. Is that
Yes. Yeah, good morning.
it? I always come up with some variation of that. Yeah. So glad you're here with us, Nick. And you brought some introduced these folks to us.
So I've got Barb and Pat with the American Red Cross here
Okay.
in Union County, and they've been on my short list of people that I'd really like to have join me as guests on the show, so that people in Union County and Northeast Oregon can learn a little bit more about what Red Cross does, and maybe even will inspire them to help out in their communities as well.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, so before we dive into that, why don't you give us just a brief update on just generally what's going on in the emergency services world of Union County?
So it's pretty obvious outside. Fire season is done. Really, really glad for that. And now we've got a really healthy snowpack up high in the mountains. You wouldn't know that looking in La Grande.
Right.
But that's something that, because of all that moisture held in snow, as early spring comes, usually February and March, brings with it some risk of some rain on snow events and some seasonal high water. So now's the time for people to be thinking about where different things are parked, and if water comes up, what's going to get wet. Mm-hmm. So we've got that in the back of our minds, and now's kind of planning season and administrative season, to catching up on grants and reporting, getting ready to apply for grants, and updating all of our emergency operation and response plans.
So what is a rain on snow event? I mean, clearly that has a classification.
So when you have above freezing temperatures generally, and rain falls on existing snow, it causes the snow to melt really rapidly. And then oftentimes that overwhelms rivers, causes them to activate the floodplains.
Okay.
And we end up with water the places that on the river floodplains.
Right. And that's what happened back in 2019.
So we had, that was a little bit on the extreme side,
Okay.
where I think probably rather than maybe just calling it seasonal high water, might be able to call that a flood.
Right.
Especially in Umatilla County, they most definitely had flooding, where we had rain fall on snow, melted off very quickly, and then the rivers spilled well over their banks.
Yeah. Now, I think the couple of days after you were here last time, you won a state. You were recognized as a state.
So,
I mean, talk about that, because I
so-
think that was,
Yeah, so the Oregon Emergency Management Association gave me an award as the Public Sector Emergency Management Professional of the Year, which is quite an honor.
yeah, that's awesome. They don't I'm getting the idea that in these government type jobs that they don't really work on short names. It's like, yeah.
It's
Yeah. Even the name of that award, public service, yeah.
that's
Well, awesome. Well, and I think it was Commissioner Matt Scarfo was on just shortly after you. You guys were just a couple of weeks apart or a week apart, and I think he mentioned that. So, congratulations.
well, thank you.
Yeah, congratulations that the state recognizes what we've already known, and so we're glad that you're here. I've said that before. So.
Oh, thank you. I have the best job in the world.
Well, and I said this many times. I mean, the you have jobs that you're paid for, but then you also volunteer for a huge number of different events, and I intersect with people that you intersect with. And so I was involved. I emceed the ball drop at New Year's Eve and was talking to Tyson Brooks, who also he runs in the
With search and rescue.
Search and rescue,
Yes.
yeah. And so then we were talking about you, and
Uh-oh.
no, it was good. It was good, yeah, because he said I invited I invited Nick to come down to the ball drop. I don't know if and I was trying to place you in that atmosphere, and it was like, okay, that I'm sure he's in these kind of atmospheres sometimes, but yeah, anyhow. So no, I'm thankful that you're here. Okay, so why don't you give us a bridge? Talk to us about how Red Cross interfaces. I don't know, just kind of bring it down to we see the American Red Cross response in big national situations all the time, and they are, and not only nationally but internationally too, yeah. So, but talk to us, create a bridge for us, Nick, to your guests in the types of things that they do locally here for us.
So, emergency services, our types of emergencies that we plan for and interact with span the entire spectrum from a very routine call for service where we just are making sure that our local agencies are prepared and equipped to respond to their normal calls, to on up through the disaster scales that is overwhelming everyone, and we're doing what we can to manage a very extreme situation. So there's the full spectrum there. And throughout all of those emergencies, from something as simple as a kitchen fire, if you call that simple,
right.
But from something like that on up to a disaster that displaces hundreds or thousands of people, there's instances where people get displaced from their homes, or maybe people who are traveling get stuck and stranded and have nowhere to go, or maybe people need some basic supplies along with that as far as hygiene and things like that. And that's where the American Red Cross and people like Barb and Pat come in as really key partners and players with emergency services to help us provide those services. And Union County has an agreement with the American Red Cross to provide those services as far as sheltering and mass care in partnership with our public health staff for Union County. So they're really critical players, and I'll let them elaborate a little bit on as far as the spectrum, as far as in Union County, the type of services that you might provide.
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I can tell.
Barb, why don't you jump into it? Yeah.
All right. So we do the most common thing that we do locally in Union County is install free smoke detectors.
So I completely missed that. Sorry.
So say that again.
We install smoke detectors for free.
Okay.
That's the most common thing we do.
Okay.
And the next most thing we do is provide resources and services after a home house fire.
Okay.
We will be there, and fortunately that doesn't happen very often, but we've had 3 in the past couple months, which is a lot to us.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty. But we're there to provide resources immediately, so that the clients have. Some people walk out with nothing. They have their pajamas on and they're standing there. And they have nothing. So
Wow.
we try to provide services for
So
them.
how do you what do you guys do to accommodate that? What's kind of in the plan?
We'll just provide monetary resources eventually in the end, either, through their bank or a card
Okay.
that we can give them.
So then let's say my house burnt down and we're standing out in the yard and I have some interaction. What's the first, what are you going to tell me that can help me in that immediate situation? Are you helping me, I don't know, give me an idea of of how you bridge people towards services.
Well, one will provide, if you need medical help, like refilling prescriptions, glasses, we can provide help to assist that
Okay.
immediate, fast.
Right.
Fast, and then money so that you can, hopefully, if you need a hotel or something like that, food, clothing.
Because their prescriptions might have just burned up in
Oh,
the fire.
yeah, they're
Right,
gone.
yeah,
Their
okay.
glasses are
Got
gone,
it.
and
Right,
yeah.
okay.
So we're there to provide immediate assistance.
Okay.
If we can be there immediately. There's only 2 of us in Union County, so
Okay,
this is
yeah.
an issue. We hope to be there as fast as we can.
Are you guys employees or volunteers?
It's all volunteers.
It's all volunteers.
There's no paid
Okay.
staff
Yeah,
in
just,
Union County.
Just trying to get.
There's a paid staff elsewhere, but I think it's 90% of the American Red Cross is volunteers.
Okay.
So, but let's back up to Nick for just a minute. You said we have an agreement. So does that mean financially then the county is contributing generally to the Red Cross? How does that work?
So we work in a partnership. The agreement does not have any dollar values on
Okay.
it as
Okay.
far as financial contributions. Red Cross is a national organization, provides sheltering services. So through our agreement, Union County, we provide them places to store equipment and things like that, and then Red Cross substantially, by having volunteers, is able to provide this service to us. And that is a huge benefit to Union County, because for insurance reasons and other things, that if Union County as a county government were to try to provide the services that the American Red Cross does, it would be incredibly expensive. So the volunteers save the citizens of Union County a substantial amount of money.
So zooming out a little bit on what it is that you do, I would imagine that when you're looking at emergency situations, big ones, little ones, gigantic ones, whatever it might be, that your job is you're identifying the needs. Okay, how are we going to accommodate housing for 100 people? I don't know, whatever it might be, And so then you're looking, you have boxes to fill with organizations, and either the county's got to provide that financially, or they've got to find volunteer organizations to fill that box. Is that kind of described?
That's very well put.
Yeah.
And so that's where Red Cross, while there's 2 staff in Union County, maybe Pat, could you explain what it would look like if I call you to set up a wildfire shelter, as far as bringing in support looks like?
Okay, what he would do is he would notify the Boise, the head office, and then they would call me. Okay, and we'd immediately find a place to shelter people. We've got a trailer that's already set up. It's got cots, blankets, tables, anything to run a shelter. So we just need that brought over to where our shelter's going to be, and it's pretty self-sustaining. Then we just bring any more staff to do the shelter.
So then the Red Cross organization internationally or nationally, then they're helping provide the equipment, the
Yes.
cots, the blankets, the whatever. Right? Am I getting that right? But the volunteers on the ground, that's kind of up to you guys locally or us locally.
Yes.
Well, we'll bring in other people,
Right.
If it gets to some point. Well, obviously we'll have to bring in more people, because I don't think the 2 of us could do much. But and then depending then if it's a really big emergency, that's when we'll get people from all over. First it's within our district, Eastern
okay.
Oregon. Then if it spreads bigger, because I've gone to a hurricane in Florida, that's big. That's a huge operation.
Right. So then the Red Cross itself kind of dispatches, hey, this is the event, this is what's happening, this is the help we need. we have this equipment locally here. What equipment do we need to bring in from the outside? What volunteers do we need to bring in from the outside? Am I describing that? Is that kind of how
It
that
is,
works?
but
Yeah.
one thing you got to understand is when this happens, we're pretty much on our own for a while.
Right.
So the county is going to have to make this thing work until we can get the people in here. So.
Okay. So, can you think of give me an example of an event? I mean, you talked about a house fire. I mean, what are some of the things that you kind of think out there that's like, yeah, we got to be prepared. That could happen anytime. Yeah.
Wildfires are in Eastern Oregon, probably
That's a big one.
aside from a house fire, as far as the type of emergencies where a county will be calling Red Cross to set up a temporary evacuation point or a shelter.
Yeah.
And then the Red Cross has agreements with, like, we have an agreement with the university as to if we need a shelter, we've already got that in place as an agreement that might be an opportune spot to set up a shelter.
Okay.
And then we'll, so we've done some of the background work, hopefully, on some
Yeah.
of these potential shelter locations.
Yeah, the college and several churches and the community centers have all volunteered to be shelters
Okay.
if needed.
As well as many of our local schools.
Oh, the local
Yes, the schools, yeah.
So, Barb, how long have you been doing this?
Gosh, we've signed about 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right
we
before
both-
a year or so before the pandemic,
Okay.
because we helped out with that.
Okay. And so, and why? What brought you to wanting to do that?
Well, I retired, so I had time.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've always wanted to help at these disasters. I think I'm sort of one of those people that like to see these disasters, watch the.
Yeah.
So I have gone to a couple big ones, not many. Some people go on lots of deployments, but like I've been to Florida, I've been to California for a wildfire. So you can. The Red Cross has a lot of ways you can volunteer. You can do what either just like we do, in home house fires, smoke detectors, or you can deploy
Right.
and go all over the U.S. You can go all over the world if you want to,
Well,
And so there's big disasters, little disasters. There's lots of other jobs in between that you can do a lot of jobs remotely. I mean, there's so many. We had a woman that was a retired school teacher, and she would go to the local classrooms and teach about disasters and what to do in the face of a disaster for kids. I mean, there's lots of different opportunities.
Well, let's show. We have a few pictures. Let's just show those real quick, and you can. These are you. Now this is not local.
This isn't local.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then
That's setting up.
these are just kind of generic sample photos.
Yeah, that's setting up a shelter.
Yeah. And
Lots of blankets, lots of food. We
Yeah.
need lots of food. We'll provide the food. We'll bring that in.
no, I think that is all the photos. But the bottom line though is that if the Red Cross is involved, somebody's not having a good day.
Yes,
Is that right?
it's usually the worst day of their lives.
Yeah, yeah. So, and Pat, why did you get involved?
Well, I had recently retired and was looking for something to do, so the Red Cross was asking for volunteers, so I told them I would be available. So
Right. Well, and I know that's why Nick wanted you guys on.
Yeah.
Was because to talk about the volunteer opportunities. Do you have some notes there? Do you want to launch
she's
a
pretty
little bit?
much covered everything.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, so there's an opportunity for people to plug in. We've had a really good response in the past for search and rescue. I'm presuming. I mean, I know a lot of, but that's kind of there's an attraction for adrenaline type people with search and rescue.
Yes, and I think and all of these organizations
Right.
have a unique niche. You could
Okay,
say.
yeah, totally.
Where if you think of volunteering for a fire department, firefighting is a fairly unique task that
Right.
you'd be asked to do, or responding to medical calls, and it's something that some people love. I really enjoy it, and it's something that is just not for others. Search and
Right.
rescue has a little bit fewer calls than fire departments do. So if people still want to be involved in emergency response, but fewer calls. And then Red Cross is another organization where maybe people don't have the time commitment to put in all of the training that's required to every week with fire departments or a couple times a month with search and rescue. And Red Cross might be a really good avenue for people to contribute to their communities and be there to help their communities during a disaster. But they may not have the time and abilities to participate in some of the other emergency response organizations, or maybe do both. And maybe Barb and Pat, could you explain a little bit about what it takes to become a Red Cross volunteer, from when someone applies to what training that you all do for the services you provide?
Do you want to answer that?
Either way. No, once you apply, there is some training, but you can do it all online. So,
I would think that it's within a couple hours.
yes.
I mean, we're a disaster action is
Yeah, DAT
team,
responder,
a DAT
which is
responder.
disaster action team member. So
Okay.
That's the local thing, is that, and that's where it would really be beneficial to have more volunteers than
Yeah.
Pat and I, because we're down to just 2 of us now.
So
And-
ideally, how many would you like to have? 10?
oh, that would be
Oh my gosh!
fantastic.
Because then, in the
You know,
face of
even
an
a half a dozen would be
Right,
great.
right,
so.
yeah.
in the face of a bigger emergency like this wildfire, that is that we're ready, that much more ready to go.
Right.
That more people are ready. It's not like we know exactly what's going to happen, but there's fewer people that we can call on
Yeah.
to say, okay, we're. Last summer, Baker did have a shelter.
Yeah, see, I went over
set
and
up.
worked at a shelter in Baker during
Okay.
the wildfire.
So,
So,
it happens pretty quick.
Yeah.
Usually.
So Pat, what were you doing? I mean, talk to me about like what
they called and
really
needed
what were your tasks that you were working on? while you
basically
were
they called and needed assistance, so I went over in the shelter, and they already had the shelter set up, but I just helped with the assistance of feeding the people and getting them lined out for the different things they needed.
there? Yeah.
Basically, just talking to them and visiting with them, and
Yeah. Well, and I'm seeing, and is that, and Barb, when you've been deployed, you call it, what are the kinds of tasks that you've done?
I was mostly, it seems like I worked a lot on sheltering, but there's different levels. I mean, I've been at the individual shelters as well as I've been at the office level, organizing where the shelter volunteers. There's a herd of them coming in, and you have to assign them to different shelters.
Right.
This was in a fire down in California. Or, there's lots of shelters set up, so you have to make sure that they're, where these people are going. Organizing the volunteers is another whole job.
Now, when you're deployed, do you pay for your own expenses? How
Oh,
do you,
no.
Okay.
Red Cross, and they have another whole batch of volunteers in the background working to facilitate me getting to the disaster.
Okay.
There's, getting my plane reservation, my, hotel reservations, or my
vehicle, whatever.
Right.
vehicle,
They
whatever it
furnish
is.
all
They
that.
furnish all that.
Right.
They furnish all
So
that.
as a volunteer, are there costs that you have, or is that? I
No.
mean, is there? Yeah.
No, they cover all the costs.
They cover the whole cost when you're deployed.
Huh. Wow. And that's awesome. So, and I think that, I mean, the pattern that I see, other than the things, the different volunteer opportunities that Nick is around all the time, is you guys are interfacing with the people. I mean, that is the most, the other things, being a firefighter, a volunteer firefighter, or search and rescue, there's some technical aspects of that,
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're there helping people get situated. Hey, this is where you're going to camp for the night. This is where you can put your belongings. Do you need some water? Are you hungry?
Right.
Here's the restroom. You're trying to make them as comfortable as possible.
Well, I'd say, because it's the worst day of their life. So.
Yeah.
So just to clear it up for the viewers, this is just a small section of American Red Cross. This is just disaster relief, right?
Right, this
is-
There's all these other things that American Red Cross does outside of disaster
Yeah,
relief.
actually, there's over 200 different jobs somebody can do for the Red
Wow,
Cross.
that's crazy.
It's all depends on what your interest is. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
the
can
other-
educate people about war. I'm looking right now. There's all kinds of stuff that American
Yes.
Red Cross does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. The other local one we'd have is the Red Cross blood drives.
Right.
And that's sort of separate, but I will plug in for them. There is a blood drive next week.
Where and when, you know?
up at the LDS Church, it's on the 14th.
Geckler?
Yes.
On the
on
14th?
the 14th and 15th.
What time? All day?
Yeah, they're usually all
Pretty
day.
much all day. Yes.
But if you just go to redcrossblood.org,
Red
Yeah.
Cross.
and that's how you sign up for that. And
Wow.
that's sort of a whole different group, but it's an important group.
Yeah.
We work with them too, but it's a separate deal. So
So, but if specifically, if they want to be, if there's somebody out there and they want to be a part of what it is that you guys are doing, how do they navigate to apply in the right spot?
Redcross.org.
Okay, and then
And then it's right there. in
And
your
then
face.
it'll- and
be a
it'll-
volunteer, and you click a button, and
And it
within a
will-
couple hours, you can be helping us, and we'll be happy.
and through that application process, they'll narrow that down to LeGrand and
Oh, yeah.
the options that they
Yeah,
have.
what
and-
county, yeah.
Okay, or Union County. Excuse me,
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I have a question
Yes.
for you all. About how much time would you say, if someone is interested in volunteering with Red Cross, what would they be looking at as far as maybe a monthly or annual time commitment?
it all depends on how much time you want to commit. Because some people just have a special interest and they don't put in that much time. Like Barb and I, we go to house fires and we also install smoke detectors. So that takes a little bit more time, but you could do either one of those or something different. So.
Yeah. Now, let's zoom in on that. How do you become aware of people who need smoke detectors?
They will call, or sometimes the fire department will call me and say that somebody is interested. They can call our office and leave a message, or a lot of times they call me my personal number. So
Okay, and but these are people that so then through the organizations, it's known that like today. So if somebody's out there and they don't have the means for a smoke detector, maybe they can't put it where it needs to be. Maybe they can't install it, or yeah.
well, it doesn't matter. Anybody that needs smoke detectors can call the Red Cross,
Yeah.
whether they have the means or not.
Right.
And so, we put in the basic smoke detectors. We also got what I call a bed shaker smoke detector.
Oh, interesting.
It looks like a clock radio, and when the other smoke detectors go off, this thing will hear it, and it sends out a signal. In fact, it'll start flashing that there's a fire. And then there's a thing that's kind of like a computer mouse that you put under between the mattress and the box springs, and it vibrates, and it will wake you up.
But that's also for people hard of hearing.
Yeah.
for the-
Well, I was thinking, there are times that you could have used an alarm like that, Doug. Yeah.
Oh, I sleep hard when I do get to sleep.
Well, and we also got access to strobe smoke alarms too, which if it's set off, it'll start strobing a light to wake people up. So
Because people do sleep. That is something that happens. People sleep through a smoke detector.
oh, easily, yeah.
Yeah.
But especially people hard of hearing, they take their
Right.
hearing aid out
Yeah.
at night. Well,
Yeah.
they're not going to, and so.
Well,
But we offer those, so we have them. Please call us.
That's
Yes.
interesting. I wasn't
And-
aware of that technology.
And I'll tell you something, Mo. I did a test with a lady, and she had cochlear implants, and she took out both her hearing aids.
Right.
And I set off her smoke detectors, and she couldn't hear them. But when the bed shaker went off, she could hear it before it even started vibrating,
Huh.
because it's a different tone,
Oh, interesting.
and she could hear that tone.
Huh. Wow.
So.
That's fascinating. So, well, cool. I'm so glad that. So, if people want to get involved, again, we'll kind of plug that again. People
Yeah.
want to get involved in what you're doing. You're actively looking for volunteers, right?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. Do you guys? Are there times? I'm sure when you think about the possible events that might overwhelm you, that overwhelms you. On a day-to-day basis, you know, are you, I mean, if somebody applied, could they help you right now install smoke detectors, or what is your need right now? Yeah.
Yeah, and you can do like so many other. There's so many other opportunities.
Yeah.
Local. I mean, like I said, there was a retired teacher who loved to go to the classrooms and teach kids. That's a great opportunity, you know,
Yeah.
for somebody. You can stay in LeGrand and volunteer remotely to these larger disasters. There's lots of, you know, positions there. You know, they're operating, you know, moving supplies, moving people, they're big operations. When you get to a big, you know, hopefully we don't get there.
Yeah. Now, do you guys have do you have a local social media? Do you have a Facebook account? Or are you able to have that, you know, that type of thing?
Oh, no, I think we're in Eastern Oregon and Southeastern Idaho is our regional group.
Okay.
And there's a Red Cross Facebook. I know there's a Facebook page.
Because I just know, you know, I mean, I know that people, they're just not aware. They're just not aware. And I know that that's why Nick had you guys join him today. You know?
Yeah, I've run into a lot of people that don't know that the Red Cross is here in Union County.
Well, not only here, but that they're here and they need help.
Yes.
Volunteers, you know. So,
And see, our office used to be in the Grand Fire Department. Now we're in this Joseph building
okay.
Which is at the county offices.
Okay.
at the county offices.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you guys mind? Do you have to share with the public the phone number for people to reach you at?
Yeah, if you want to leave a message at our office, the number is 541-749-4144. Or if they just want to call me at my home phone, that's fine. That's 541-910-0186.
Okay.
You know, if I don't have the answer for them, I can get an answer, or else we can plug them into where they need to go. So.
Okay. So the office number again, both of the 541 extension is 749-4144.
Yes.
And your personal number is 910-0186.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
No, this is awesome. Thank you for what you do. And again, I think the thing that strikes me the most personally is there are people out there that maybe they don't feel like I'm equipped to do some of the physical things that might need to be done with some of the other volunteer organizations, but they're compassionate and they would love to help people and they'd love to be a help to people. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
there's lots
Yeah.
of opportunities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots of
All righty. Well, anything that we missed, Nick, that you want to talk about?
I'd just really like to thank Barb and Pat and Red Cross, and just thinking about the role that they play is public safety organizations it's public safety,
Yeah.
taking care of our people.
Yeah.
And while we try and mitigate physical threats with fire departments and things like that, ultimately, if we're not taking care of the members of our community at the end of the day, we're not doing our entire job. And the Red Cross and our local volunteers are a huge component during disasters or even isolated emergencies in making that happen.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And Nick, I just want to give you kudos because I know that you volunteer a tremendous amount. And that's kind of, I mean, that volunteerism is in your blood. And so you get paid for a job, but you give a lot of time. You volunteer a lot of time in a lot of agencies. And so that's big. I mean, you put your money where your mouth is. Yeah, so I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. All righty. Well, hey, you want to?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
On this day, January 7th, 1714, the typewriter is patented by Englishman Henry Mill. It wasn't built until like 15 years later, though.
Really?
Yeah, it was patented and then
You said
not
1714?
1714. 1782, the first commercial U.S. bank, the Bank of North America, opens in Philadelphia. 1830 on this day, the first U.S. railroad station opens in Baltimore, Maryland. 1945 is the last surface engagement between Allies and the Japanese in the Pacific Campaign of World War II. 1992 on this day, AT&T releases the video telephone. Its original price was $1,499. Not much different than the video telephones we have today in price, really. 1999 on this day, President Bill Clinton's impeachment trial begins in the U.S. Senate after the House voted to impeach him for lying about his affair with Monica Lewinsky. 2021 on this day, Elon Musk, co-founder of Tesla, passes Jeff Bezos as the richest person on Earth, over $186 billion. The number one song in America on this day in 1975 is Lucy in the Skies with Diamond, but not the Beatles version, the Elton John version. He did a cover. This song was written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney. There's lots of theories on the hidden message in the song, including it's a song about LSD. It's a song about Julian's drawing, colored by the writings of Lewis Carroll. It's some people think it's about a female or a female savior who turned out to be Yoko Ono, and then some people think it's about John Lennon's mother. The quote of the day, we'll just stick with John Lennon. It comes from John Lennon. Music has healing power. It has the ability to take people out of themselves for a few hours. One more time. Music has healing power. It has the ability to take people out of themselves for a few hours.
That's true.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, thank you guys.
Thank you
for
very
being
much.
here. Yeah, really
Appreciate it.
really appreciate it. So,
Yep.
all righty. We'll see you guys soon.